Good morning, everyone. It's Mr. Martin here with your grammar lesson for today, which is April 1st, 2020. So let's go ahead and get the article. Your teacher should have given it to you yesterday. Let me pull mine up so you can have it. 1 second. So you should have this article here. For today, we're looking at the article, How to Read a Map. That's what we're looking at today, how to read a map. So as always, when we get any kind of a new revising and editing passage, we have to figure out what the passage is asking us to do. Is it revising or is it editing? So I'm gonna go ahead and read. My directions to figure out if it's a revising or editing passage. If you see a keyword there that lets you know if it's revising or editing, please go ahead and circle that word and then tell me, am I doing cups or am I doing arms, okay? So if I'm doing cups, I'm editing. If I'm doing arms, I'm revising. But we're gonna figure that out by looking as we read the directions. Umberto wrote an explanation about how to read maps. Read Umberto's paper and think about how it should be revised. Then answer the questions that follow. I'm going to read that one more time. Umberto wrote an explanation about how to read maps. Read Umberto's paper and think about how it should be revised. Think about how it should be revised. Take about 10 seconds. Is this revising? Is this editing? How do you know? All right, if you said that this was revising, you are correct. Because right here we have the word how it should be revised, right? And as we know from looking at our cups and arms, if we are revising, we are doing arms. So I'm going to add arms, A-R-M-S, right below there. Let me zoom in so you can see. So focus. What's our next step? So we added our arms. What is our next step? Our next step. Correct. We have to get our central idea ready to go. What's our central idea? And in order to understand our central idea, we have to read the whole selection or read the whole passage and think about, what is the passage teaching me? What is the passage talking about? What is the passage mainly discussing, okay? Because when we're revising, adding, removing, moving, or substituting, we always have to know what the passage is teaching us. So let's go back to the top. I'm going to read it. You can follow along with me. Reading a map helps you know where you are. Maps may look confusing. However, maps are actually easy to read. Learning to read a map is a helpful skill. The right is east and the left is west. A map uses symbols to show a piece of land. To use a map, match the directions on the map and the directions where you are. First, find the top of it. This is north. The bottom is south. Next, learn what the symbols on the map mean. Maps use many different symbols. Symbols may show rivers, roads, mountains, cities, and railroads. A list of symbols is usually found on the map. This list is called a key or a legend. A map's scale shows how to figure distances. For instance, a scale may say 1 inch at the top equals 10 miles of land. Measuring the distance between two places on a map can help you know how far the actual places are from each other. Maps can give you a lot of information. They can help you find places. They can help you know how far two places are from each other. Beautiful. So as I was reading that, I was thinking, if you take each paragraph, so if I chunked maybe this paragraph, and then I chunk second paragraph, this paragraph, and then I'm gonna chunk all this together. What was this mainly teaching me about maps, okay? What was this mainly teaching me about maps? So the first thing in the title is teaching me how to what? Correct, how to read maps, okay? And then if I keep going, it's telling me a little bit about the maps having symbols and the scale and the information that you can get from maps. So I want you to take about 30 seconds to think about if you want to pull out what are the key things that it's teaching you for your central idea. What would you put in 1 or 2 sentences for your central idea? And then I'm going to go ahead and write mine. 30 seconds. So what I put is how to read maps, understand the symbols, scale, and get information. So I will how to read maps, understand the symbols, scales, and get information. Okay, this first one, how to read it. Second paragraph talks about symbols. This one talks about scale. And this one talks about getting information. So I was able to put everything from each of my parts: information, scale, symbols, and how to reading maps. Okay? Take about 10 seconds if you didn't have that. So now we're going to look at questions 1 and 2. And as we're looking at questions 1 and 2, I want us thinking about how we can revise those using arms. What are we adding, removing, moving, or substituting? Okay, again, adding, removing, moving, or substituting. So if I look at question 1, let me zoom it down a little bit. There we go. Question 1 says, Umberto wants to move sentence 5 to improve the organization of his paper. Where is the best place to move sentence 5? So we're moving sentences and words around to make more sense, okay? So moving sentence 5, where is the best place to move sentence 5? So for this one, it gives us options, so we can move it after sentence 10, 13, 16, and 19, but we got to figure out the best place. So what's the first thing that we should do, guys? If you said to read sentence 5, you are correct. And then after we read sentence 5, what's our next thing that we should do? I think I hear it in the back. Yes, we need to go back and read these sentences to see where sentence 5 fits best. So I'm going to go back and read sentence 5. Again, never a memory test. The right is east and the left is west. So we're talking about the directions here on the map, right? Okay. Before this, they're not talking about directions, so that's not the right place. Let's go back and read. It says after sentence 10. The bottom is south. So that by itself is not giving me too much information, but I'm going to read back 2 more sentences. First, find the top of it. This is north. The bottom is south. So those are both giving me directions. And if I were to include sentence 5 with that, after that sentence, first, find the top of it. This is north. The bottom is south. The right is east and the left is west. Does that make sense, guys? If I'm talking about north and south, should I include east and west there? All right. Oh, sorry, my focus is not working today. Okay. So I think just from looking at that, sentence 10 could work because they're talking about all the other directions. But I'm going to keep going and looking at the other ones. Let's look at sentence number 13. Symbols might show rivers, roads, mountains, cities, and railroads. The right is east, left is west. This paragraph is talking about symbols and not like directions. So I don't think that that fits there. So I'm going to cross that one out. Let's look at 16. A map's scale shows how to figure distances, okay? The right is east, the left is west. So directions and distances is kind of separate. And I already know sentence 10 tells me north and south, so it makes more sense if the directions all go together. So I'm gonna cross that one out. Let's look at 19. Oops, sorry. So sentence number 19, let's see if that one fits. Maps can give a lot of information. The right is east and the left is west. Guys, what are these two lines right here? What do we consider these? The very, very end of a passage. What is that called? If you said the word conclusion, you are correct. And in our conclusion, we already know that we don't give new what? We don't give new information, that's correct. So if I'm telling you maps can give you a lot of information, they can help you find places. This is summarizing or concluding our passage. We wouldn't go ahead and add, oh, and the right is east and the left is west right there. That doesn't make sense because that's giving us new information. So as our process of elimination has worked, we see that A is the only correct answer. Always do my IKB. How do I know that A is the correct answer? How do I know that? So I know because sentences eight through 10 all discussed directions. And just to be fair, north, south, east, west. So all those sentences talked about directions. So if I want to talk about directions like sentence 5, east and west, it has to go in that section. That's the only place that it makes sense. We're going to do one more for today, and then we're going to leave the rest of them for Friday, guys. The meaning of sentence 8 can be improved by changing it to which of the following? The meaning of sentence 8 can be moved by changing it for which of the following? So sentence 8, improved by changing it, okay? So I think this one we're gonna substitute. It is kind of a bland generic word. What is the it discussing? And if we use too many words, like too many pronouns, it in there, it can get confusing about what the actual subject is. So we have to be careful that we know our subjects in each sentence, because if we use it too many times, people get confused. So let's go back and read sentence 8 and see if we can figure out what the it they are discussing. As always, when I read back a sentence, I like to read 1 or 2 sentences before to get context to what that section is talking about. So I'm going to go back to sentence 6, actually. I'm going to read 6 through 8. A map uses symbols to show a piece of land. To use a map, match the directions on the map to the directions where you are. First, find the top of it. This is north, the bottom is south. So this whole section is talking about how to use what? Symbols on a map, okay? So to use a map, look at the directions where you are, find the top, this is north, those are the directional symbols. So first find the top of it. This it is referring to the what? The it is the map. The it is referring to the map. So find the directions on the top of it, find the directions on the top of the map, okay? Let's go back and see if any of these are discussing the map. Okay, find the map. First one, question mark. That thing and it are just as vague, not clear. A piece of land. Are we talking about a piece of land, or are we talking about looking at maps? J, north. Let me go back and look. First, find the top of north. This is north? That doesn't make sense. So the only part that makes sense there is find the top of the map, right? Because we're looking at the map and the top is always going to be north, the south is always going to be, the bottom is always going to be south, all right? So put your IKB. As always, I'm going to give you a couple seconds to write yours. How do you know? I know because. So I know because it refers to the map's directions. Okay. It refers to the map's directions. The whole thing is talking about the directions on the map, so that's what the it refers to. All righty, guys. Thank you so much for joining me this morning to do a little bit of grammar. We're going to continue with this on Friday and answer the remaining 4 questions. And as always, I hope you have a wonderful, wonderful day. I hope that you are learning lots and that you get outside and play a little bit this afternoon. Talk to you later.